My name is AnneMie Decatte. I'm originally from Belgium and I made my way to Australia now, as in a while ago, where I am now the secretary of the Health and Wellness Rotary Gold Coast, and where we promote everything health and wellness, mind, body, soul, everything that you need to live a rich life experience. And in a professional capacity, I have a self-development and professional development business called Accountable ETHOS, because I am a believer that accountability and mindset can bring people to any goal that they have set for themselves. I had the privilege as well to work in several organizations internationally, the Virgin Group, based in London, but I've also worked in Los Angeles. Then I moved to Panasonic in Japan. Completely different story, different cultures. So definitely important to understand diversity. And then I worked for the Accor group. So what does an inclusive organization look and feel like? I will start with feel, because as you know, we spent, as an employee, we spent about 40 plus years in the workplace. And it's very, very important to maintain a healthy balance and, you know, health and wellness in your life, that you have an amazing experience at work. And not just having fun, but as in being passionate about what you are doing and keeping on learning and growing over a lifetime. Because in my opinion, that is key to driving you forward and then bringing that happiness home. Because after all, we spend, you know, a minimum of 8 hours in the workplace. More likely when you move into management, that would be 12, 14, 16 hours sometimes. And if that is not a pleasant experience, then you know that ripples out in your family and has a reflection on your health as well. So that's what it's supposed to feel like. What it looks like is a great organization, because I do believe in having a good foundation and feeling that you are in a situation and an environment that is well organized, that is transparent, and where you can communicate freely. And as I said, that you can, this way that we can all learn from each other and share our story, so we help other people learn and grow. So my last corporate position before I started my company, I was a director of an international school. And what I did to incorporate everyone and every way of thinking, because as I said before, Australia has 164 different nationalities in the country. So, and you can imagine an international school. So we were dealing with a lot of different ways of seeing the world, different cultures, different nationalities, different religions, all having to work together. And that doesn't mean only the customer that came to use our services, but also the people that were engaged to teach what we were providing. So what I did was I was very open in the advertisements that I wrote, and I made it very clear that the skills and the qualities and the life experience was valued more than what they believed that they had as qualifications. Obviously, again, going back to what I stated before, there are certain qualifications you need to have, but sometimes people have 10 years of work experience with multicultural environments, working harmoniously. I actually value that over a minor certificate that is not really necessary and that's not on the list to, that is required for you to get the job. So sometimes people get really hung up on, oh, I have this degree or that degree. When you cover the basics and you have the right experience, and not necessarily experience in the workplace, but sometimes life experience really assists as well for you to understand inclusivity. So I was always very open when I hired people. And another thing what I did is I had conversations with them much deeper than just the workplace. So something I always did was ask their values, their personal values. And then I looked at the vision and mission of the organization. And then I also looked at my existing team, what I already had in place, and if that would be a good fit based on these values. And that was always a 100% guaranteed success rate. So I'm actually very proud that, to work in that organization. And it was super pleasant for all members of the team. I had great feedback from the staff and also from the owners, because obviously they had to have meetings with agents that sent clients, and the feedback was, we have never had such a pleasant and easy way of doing business and dealing with an organization. So I'm very happy and proud to say that I took all the things that I had learned from being an inclusive manager or director in other companies, growing over time, obviously, and then put that into practice. So that was absolutely amazing. So then to answer the second part of your question, which system did I change? Basically the hiring system. So the HR, human resources, if you have the right person in place that understands true inclusivity and diversity, it's much easier to see what would be not working. So I'm always looking for the qualities in the person, and I never look for what couldn't work. I always look at potential in the person and how they can develop and how the team can help them develop. So I strongly believe, I'm actually convinced that if you put the right person in charge of hiring a team, you will end up with a very diverse, inclusive, harmonious team. And that is something I have to add that to a school that my last experience, actually, my very last experience before starting my company, that was not the case. So there was a person in charge that did not have any history or any life experience with diversity and, like understanding inclusivity, and that was not a very pleasant experience. So I'm happy that I experienced that too, because you learn what not to do, right? What is the easiest to change or the best to change, systems or people? It's very easy, because systems are like dinosaurs and are very, very difficult to change. And it's also harder for the people's minds to comprehend a system and change in the system. But if we start to change people or help people to change their mind, people are way more flexible and way more open if you approach things in the right way. So values is what is important to you, and like, how do you see your life? What would truly make you happy beyond just the physical? Of course, the physical, or like your lifestyle is important as well, because for certain people, they will not be able to be or experience inner happiness if they are in a certain place. So values are, I'll give you an example of my values. For me, my main value is respect and reciprocal respect. And that means in every realm. So as I spoke about before, communication is key. So being addressed in a respectful manner, that is the start to everything. So respect. Respect for my space, respect for my narrative, for who I am as well. That is, I'll leave it there, because otherwise we get too much into detail. Another value of mine is accountability. And integrity. So accountability and integrity goes together, because what I see nowadays is people don't really do what they said that they were going to do. And then being really honest and true to yourself and others. That is my fourth value. So once you determine that, and also not only what your values are, but why, and what does that mean to you? That's why I'm giving an example of my values, right? So going deeper and deeper into it, not just writing down the word. And once you determine your values, it will be also much easier to determine, because this happens a lot in the workplace. People say, but I'm such a misfit, like, what am I doing here? Because I work a lot with these kind of people that are restructuring their life and going into a different career path. And what we actually uncover is that their values are not aligned with the company's values or even with the people that they work with. So once you determine your values, you are going to have a way higher chance of finding that sense of belonging. So, and that's always a great feeling. Everyone wants to belong, right? I actually couldn't think about anything better than a quote by the man himself, the promoter of diversity and inclusion, Martin Luther King. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. If nobody speaks up, there is not going to be any change. We only need one person to start a movement. So that is exactly the same with an organization. And going back to the fact that we will spend, or like most employees will spend 40 or more years in the workplace, the time is now to speak up and to learn to communicate and to learn social and emotional intelligence and skills that can help us to communicate better, to listen better, and to be open and willing to learn from each other. Because I strongly believe when there is an exchange, the life-work balance will be better, but also your experience going to the workplace, it will not be like, oh, it's Monday. It will be, it's Monday. I can go and learn again and be with great people and do my job. I'm strongly believing that we can only give what we have. So how can you create an inclusive relationship with someone else if you don't understand yourself? So what I do recommend is actually doing some inner work and reflecting on who you are, where you came from, what are the hurdles in your life, what have you learned from these hurdles? And this can be, for some people, it might be, like nothing that major, but for some people it will be really serious pain points and hurdles that they have overcome. I will share with you a very quick story of my life. When I was 15, I got run over. I was in a coma for quite some time, and then I came out of that. And for me, that was a real eye-opener, even at 15, that I had to embrace life and live it to the, like my fullest. And that's how I started working in aviation, traveling the world, learning about cultures. So my advice to people would be open to learning from other people. And then going back to the power of the narrative, we are all one. We are all in this together. And I believe that everyone wants to have an amazing experience, life experience, and experience at work. So if you can be the contributor to making someone else's life better, it's going to come back to you, because what you give comes back to you. Educate yourself, read, listen to people's narrative, and be open to learning from anything and anyone, because everything has a purpose.